Hi, pleasure to be here. I'm Gabe. I am a fifth year PhD student at the University of California, Irvine. And I just want to start by thanking the SREE organization for this fellowship. I also want to thank my advisor, Adela Solis, who provided much guidance, as well as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for who I conducted the work for, and Nicole Eiffel. Next slide, please. So my project centered on aligning skills, competency frameworks, and learning outcomes, particularly in higher education. And what we've seen of late is higher education moving towards a skills-based framework or a skills-based emphasis on developing what is often labeled 21st century skills, sometimes called generalizable, cross-cutting, interdisciplinary, and so forth. But these skills are not very well organized in the literature, and the task was to understand how is it that employers, as well as scholars and researchers in higher education more broadly, using these labels and these terms. And secondly, is there evidence that there is some kind of common framework and a movement to move past just GPA and credentialing metrics to signal more clearly to employers the skills that graduates have to fill both the skills gap and to obtain gainful employment. Next slide, please. So there's broad recaps from this work. First of all, what we see is that in the literature, there's a wide consensus on the types of skills that are discussed in research. We see critical thinking, we see conscientiousness, teamwork, collaborative problem solving as really important skills emerging for the 21st century workforce. Less evidence is provided for whether or not there's convergence on the meaning, but future research, and one thing that funders could provide is more incentive for research on whether or not workplace-based outcomes, performance on the job, is correlated with the actual way that academics are measuring and assessing a lot of these 21st century skills. This is an area that's certainly ripe for future research, and that would get us closer whether or not the meaning that and the terms that are being discussed in higher ed correspond to the workforce. Next slide, please. Now, another big question was whether or not there is consensus in terms of an emerging framework to understand and to organize these 21st century skills in higher education, and whether or not that moves past just a mere academic exercise. Well, it looks like many exercises stay within the research realm. ETS, the Educational Testing Service, is moving towards a comprehensive test evaluation assessment system, but how clearly that's been articulated within to employers and so forth is yet to be seen. And so what we are seeing is the Quality Assurance Commons issue employability skills framework, which is beginning to be picked up by colleges, but currently this is in a pilot stage. And so how these certificates will begin to shape higher ed when they begin to signal to employers the skills students have is still something that should be investigated further. I think one area for funders could be, based on this research, is that could provide incentives for more institutions and programs to participate, and then provide incentives for employers to consider. Thank you.